This is Algebra 1, Lesson 8D, Area of a Circle. It includes examples 8.6, 8.7, and 8.8. Example 8.6. The radius of a circle is 3 centimeters. Find the area of the circle. If you saw the last video, you found out why the area formula for a circle is pi times the radius squared. If you missed that, you might want to go back and watch it. Kind of cool. Algebra demonstration. So let's use that formula. The area then is equal to pi, which we're going to use 3.14 to approximate the value of pi, and then the radius, which is 3, and then it's going to be squared. Now it's important to know that to do this calculation, you have to do the 3 squared first. That's because of order of operations that says you do your exponents before you do multiplying and dividing from left to right. We haven't formally reviewed that this year in Algebra 1, but you have had that in the past. So just a reminder, 3.14. Remember that 3 squared means 3 times 3. It's the base number times itself this many times. Okay, so 3 times 3, which would be 9. Now, I'm not going to show calculations for these, but I will tell you that the answer then would be, and I'm going to say approximately, since we rounded pi, 28.26 square centimeters. And that's the area for your circle. 8.7. The area of a circle is 25 square meters. Find the radius of the circle. Now this is interesting. They're giving us the area. So area is equal to pi times the radius squared, and they're giving us the area. We know that we have 25 square meters. I'm going to write the square meters there because it does in the book, and we'll talk about that in just a second. We know that for pi, we're going to use 3.14 as an approximation, and we don't know what the radius is. Now, even if you don't know how to find the answer, you can do this because all I did was write the formula and fill in the things that I know and leave the things that I don't know. Well, once I do that, I realize there's just this one thing I do not know, and that's the radius squared. Now, careful, this is not a variable here. This is my unit, okay? So you can even leave that out if you would like. I'm going to rewrite it. 25 is equal to 3.14 times the radius squared. Well, I can't figure out the radius squared part until I get rid of this 3.14 that's with it. Now, in previous courses, you have solved simple equations where when you're multiplying a variable, you can get rid of it by dividing both sides. So let's do that. Let's divide both sides by 3.14. When we divide both sides by 3.14, we get 7.96 is equal to the radius squared. That means some number times itself is equal to 7.96. Now you can use a calculator to help you with this, but first I'm going to estimate it to see. 1 times 1 would be 1. So 1 squared is 1. That's too small. 2 squared, that's 2 times 2. That's 4. 2 is too small. 3 squared, that would be 9. 3 is too big. So the answer is going to be somewhere between 2 and 3 because 2 squared is 4 and 3 squared is 9. And 7.96 is between those. So you're going to go into your calculator and you're going to type in 7.96 and take the square root of it. Now different calculators have different keystrokes. Mine, I have to enter the square root first. Okay, and if you don't know how to do this, if you don't know how to use that on your calculator, you may have to look up another video to find that out for your particular calculator. So when I take what they call the square root, and I'll draw on here what that looks like, you're taking the square root of 7.96, and that's what the radius is equal to. And when I did that in my calculator, I got approximately 2.82, and the units are going to be in meters. Okay, so same formula, but they gave us the area instead of asking us to find the area. Example 8.8. Find the area of this figure. Lines that look parallel are parallel. Dimensions are in inches. So this line here and this line here look parallel, so they are parallel. Now let's see if we can break this up into 3 different shapes. I think the obvious one here is that this is half of a circle, right? This that we'll color here orange. I see a semicircle there. Let's go over here and drop a perpendicular line down, and we can change this. We can use the yellow, and that will be a triangle. And then what's left in white, that's a rectangle. So let's do the area of each of those figures, and then we can add them together. Now, first we've got some missing information. I know here that this radius is 2, right? So that means that this here would be 2, and this would be 2. So this total distance here would be 4, which means this total distance here would be 4. That's going to be helpful. I can also see, and I'll use a different color, that if this is 5, then from here to here is going to be 5. And if the whole thing is 7, then this little piece right here must be 2, because the 5 plus the 2 would give me 7. So that's the first thing you need to do. And I would suggest you, when you do these in homework, draw them on your paper and show how you are dividing them up into shapes, and find all of the dimensions first before you begin your calculations. Let's begin to work on our triangle, okay? We'll just go from left to right. We know that a triangle is base times height divided by 2 when you're finding your area. And then we're going to be adding to that rectangle, which is length times width, right? And then we're going to be adding to that not a whole circle. It's going to be half of a circle, so we're going to have to divide it into 2. And the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So this gives us all of our formulas, and we can just put all of our information in. So let's go back to the triangle. The base of it is going to be 2. And the height of it is this perpendicular height here, that's 4. And we're going to divide that by 2. And we can go ahead and do that. 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And that's going to be inches squared, square inches. Now let's add to that length times width for the rectangle. Now this is where I did one earlier by myself before the video, and I messed up when I was doing the length and the width, so be careful. We can see here that this is 5 and this is 4. Don't accidentally use the 7. So 5 times 4, that's going to be 20. Now we're going to add to that. We're going to use 3.14 approximated for pi, and our radius is 2. And then we're going to divide it by 2. So you're going to have to do some calculations there with your calculator. That's okay. We can do some of that right here. That's going to be 4. And then divide by 2. And actually you could do this pretty easily by hand. And it depends on what your parent or teacher tells you to do as far as calculators go. And I didn't put my square inches there, so we'll put that there. When you do 3.14 times 4 and then you divide it by 2, you're going to get 6.28. And that's square inches. And then when you add all of those up, you're going to get 30.28 square inches. And that's the area for all of those figures combined.